In my spare time, I browse Reddit a lot. I don't just mindlessly scroll through meme subreddits, but rather I enjoy the more community-based forums. My love for unsolved mysteries took me to r/unsolved mysteries. I was also fascinated by the amazing work identifying strange objects on r/whatisthithing. This naturally drew me to the subreddit r/what'sinthisthing. r/what'sinthisthing is about people finding strange containers or storage devices of any kind, then asking for help on opening them. I've seen things ranging from hidden rooms to secret encrypted hard drives. If you catch these early, and the person putting forward their query plays nice and updates frequently, you can ride an amazing adventure of problem solving and gratification. Even if the contents found is lackluster, there's a rewarding feeling in success that's hard to describe if you haven't tried it, as the journey more than makes up for it. It took a while, but eventually the posts started getting a bit stale for me. Too many times had I seen a safe or a hard drive. A great introduction when it was someone's first time. However, personally, it started getting a bit repetitive. What reignited my interest was actually a post on the other subreddit, r/whatisthithing. The post was made by an old guy from Solihull, England. They were searching their house when they found a box they didn't recognise. They posted pictures, followed by the limited information they could provide. The pictures showed what looked to be a small, ornate box. It was covered in gems that looked precious in nature. However, they weren't all cut evenly, showing it was done by hand. It appeared aged, hinting at historical value, yet its high-quality materials preserved it fantastically. On its face were a number of tiles. Each had what looked like strange runes on them. Upon request, the old guy confirmed they moved. He also noted some stranger detail. The box was cold to the touch, something which should be normal for a metal and gem-covered box. However, he admitted that, in his age, he often had the heating on high, and he held the box for long periods of time while inspecting it, which he stated should have warmed it up, at least a bit. But no, it was always cold, no matter what. The weirder thing he found was that when he held it, if he concentrated on his touch and focused in the silence, he could swear he felt it vibrating, just ever so slightly. The only definitive found was that it seemed to be a puzzle box. However, everything else was shrouded in mystery. Something to note about r/whatisthithing is that a number of experts in a wide variety of fields frequent it. I've seen them solve the most obscure of things, from a strange microscopic creature which someone found through their microscope, to a strange piece of paper handed through a door with an obscure demonic-looking symbol on it. The subreddit seemed bulletproof, until this mystery. Despite what felt like infinite wisdom of the collective, no one had any constructive input. There were a heap of probable suggestions. History buffs took stabs at trying to pinpoint an origin, some suggesting wide, unspecific areas, and others poking guesses at some lost civilizations. None of them could come to a consensus. It got even more mysterious when the language experts debated the possible origin of the runes, which didn't seem to match any known records, not even looking related to any known dead languages. But that one detail, the fact that it was a puzzle box, naturally made the mystery migrate to r/what'sinthisthing. Here, new questions were asked, and new experts arrived. At first, we had to chase away the idiots who suggested brute force. To even contemplate damaging what could be a huge historical find was completely stupid. This made everyone resolve for the harder option: solving the puzzle. First, with the language experts, they tried to correlate the runes to each other, trying to find any kind of pattern. Just when they thought they found a correlation between two remote symbols, adding a third seemed to mess things up. They could never make it past 2, making the plot thicken. Tech heads ran the symbols through various algorithms to see if a neural network could decode a pattern. The computers each gave various solutions, and to the credit of the old man, who had the hard task of somehow rearranging the tiles perfectly to each suggested solution, he posted pictures each time, showing the box not opening. The great plus side was that this old man seemed to have all the time in the world and entertained many of our ideas and requests, though in some posts he seemed reluctant to share details, seemingly distrusting, probably due to the few people trying to swindle him out of the box. In the meantime, he did a lot of tinkering himself. To our surprise, progress was made. Not by any of the fancy equipments at the community's disposal or the wisdom of experts, but by the simple playing around of the old man. He started posting pictures of shapes he made with the tiles, all from just puttering about while he was bored. From here, progress boomed. Though it never looked fully formed when he showed it at first, it looked like the strange runes were both ancient letters, and they doubled as a pattern, which hinted at a shape. However, no matter how much the community tinkered, no one could make any headway, except him. His updates picked up in frequency, each posted picture looking more and more complete. He posted a picture of it almost complete, just the last few tiles out of place. It looked like a few more shuffles, and it would be done. We were ecstatic. We were already practically high-fiving each other in the comments, and we all waited in anticipation. Some ended up going to bed, opting to find out in the morning, whilst others, like myself, sat there and anxiously refreshed through the night, waiting for the results to be posted. In the meantime, the comments filled up with fun conversation about theories of its contents, some pessimistically trying to avoid an anticlimactic reality by subverting expectation that it was nothing. We waited in joy through the night. However, I ended up begrudgingly leaving for sleep at the late hours. But some still stayed up, too excited to sleep. When I woke up, I was surprised when I found nothing. The comments were getting antsy. We waited and waited and waited and waited. It was slowly starting to sink in that there was possibly not going to be an update. No one knew the old guy, so no one could physically check on him. Efforts to comb through his post history to find his identity failed. Everyone's hope hung like the sword of Damocles, hanging precariously over our heads, each falling one by one when we hit a sad level of acceptance, not resulting in an outburst of rage, but rather a quiet whisper of disappointment. Past then, the subreddit fell back to normalcy, working together to open the unopenable. The joy was still there, and we all seemed to move on. Until a few months later, when a post caught our attention and sparked some underlying feelings. A young person based in Central America posted about an anomalous item they found. While changing some pipes in their house, a worker found something strange. A box, ornate in nature. It was covered in uneven yet valuable looking gems, implying it predated automated tools. As you can tell, this looked all too familiar. The page was bombed with a series of backlash from the many people who felt scorned from the previous experience. This resulted in the page getting removed, being suspected as a possible viral promotion or an ARG. But when it was reposted in a serious tone to r/unsolved mysteries, some of us migrated to start the journey once more. For a start, it wasn't identical to the previous box. The face which held the sliding tiles was now a solid plate with a continued pattern of the ornate stones, matching the rest of the side of the box. However, now, on the front, was a dial, similar to that of an old safe. Rather than numbers at sequential 5-click intervals, there were more strange symbols. What was strange was that they never matched any of the symbols on the previous box, yet they looked to be of the same origin, similar to seeing the first half of the alphabet separate to the second half and knowing they're of the same source. On the side, we made a separate chat room on Discord in case any more posts got removed, which would have deleted our progress. Whilst we brainstormed suggestions, the owner got to doing their own thing. Organically, they reported similar findings to the previous mystery. The box always being cold, despite them living in a very warm climate. They also noted the strange feeling they got when they pressed hard on its face, describing it as a faint buzz from within. We all put our heads together and started providing possible solutions. At first trying to work from the patterns and findings from before, then moving on to original ideas. Whilst we worked in the background, the original poster also experimented away. He found that he could find the first symbol when something within the box clicked, which seemed to be an indicator for a correct input. The first was always the easiest to get. However, it wasn't easy to keep consistent. This is because it was different each time, something none of us had seen before on a safe dial system. When playing around more, he started consistently getting the second combination correct. Again, always a different symbol, but a memorable pattern. We noted down his findings, seeing if we could figure out a third, but nothing we ever tried worked. The next update made a few people leave. Not because of what was said, but more how it looked. It was a positive update. He explained that he had made a string of successful progressions, how he found a consistent pattern and had chased the correct combinations up to the 4th digit. He went on to say he felt the 5th would be the last, because of the sound each correct input made. He described the first as a light click, but the further he got, the heavier the sound felt, until it was a heavy clunk. It's not that people lost interest at this, but rather it rubbed people the wrong way, and how similar this post echoed the pattern of the previous box owner. Still, we held hope. The chat room in private, discussing how the previous person was old, and therefore may not have known the subreddit's etiquette of posting the results. Or maybe he found something he wanted to keep to himself, in his age, possibly thinking we were all evil, as were the messages drilled into the early adopters of the internet. But this new guy was young. He was more in touch. If you searched his Reddit history, you could see he knew how to interact, and seemed to follow good internet etiquette. His updates were always in a more open language, seemingly welcome to the help, and an appreciation for the dedicated community that followed him. It came to the night where he said he was going to crack it. Following his pattern of success, It seemed like he was close. He had hit the fourth digit many times, and had tried twisting both directions to many different symbols. Only a few remained. He posted some private videos of a few of his attempts. The possibility of success was so close we could taste it. The night droned on, and we all sat in call together, joking away, discussing possible ideas of the contents. Maybe these boxes held parts of some unknown or lost treasure. We scared each other by suggesting that maybe the old man was too scared to share its contents, or maybe he greedily kept it because it was so significant. Our shining hope was the fact that the guy we were waiting on seemed to crave the recognition of the box's opening, subtly making jabs at the anticlimactic ending of the previous adventure. We waited through the night. One by one, people left to go to bed. We waited through the morning, more people dropping off, whilst people who slept prior woke early for the spectacle. We waited until the early afternoon, where the late sleepers joined back. We waited until the evening, where the exhausted people who never left slowly passed out at their desks. Eventually, the call went dead, and we all defeatedly left. In the end, there was nothing. It was even more heartbreaking the second time. The old adage of, "Fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice," ringing around our emotions. It actually kind of hurt, this feeling of betrayal. The only positive was that most of the chat room stayed in touch, having formed a bond through these strange experiences. A few months later, and this all brings me to now. I was going through some old boxes to clear away some space under my bed, partly inspired by Marie Kondo. Most of what I chose to part with was stacks of old papers that had no more meaning in my life, but one box was particularly heavier than the rest. When I peeked inside, my eyes widened and my breath audibly escaped me in shock. There was a strange, ornate box. Each gem looked beautiful and pure, yet imperfect from each other, showing it was handmade, but with care. Looking closer, I could see the hint of chisel marks, meticulously done to create dynamic shapes. It appeared old, yet it glowed with a pristine shine that comes from only the highest quality metal. It was tantalizing to the touch, a feeling of pride washing over me for handling something so valuable. I can only liken it to being in the presence of a supercar, feeling the desire to touch it out of curiosity, but never roughly in the dire fear of damage. Knowing what to look for, I caressed its sides, feeling its cool features. I held it tightly as I studied it, subtly trying to warm it with my body heat, yet never succeeding. No matter how long I waited, it was always cold in my hands. But one thing I did notice was the slight rumble it contained. The whole duration I held it, I felt the familiarly described hum. However, feeling it in person showed that none of the others ever gave this strange sensation justice. And I don't think I could either. Not knowing where to turn, I immediately went to the Discord room and tried to explain the strange thing that happened. Immediately, people left, leaving remarks about how a marketer had infiltrated the group, the ones that got to know me a bit feeling betrayed somewhat. However, like before, the dedicated ones stayed, choosing to help me upon seeing the many pictures of proof I posted. This box held its differences from the other two. It didn't hold a panel of sliding tiles in the top, nor did it house a dial in the front, but rather, under the entire front lip, were a series of rollers, similar to what you'd see on a business person's suitcase. There were 8 in total, each containing matching symbols in an identical sequence to each other. Like before, none of the runes matched anything we recorded on the other 2 boxes. We worked diligently, with no luck. It wasn't until we were stumped, and I just sat there playing with it, when a feeling of intuition kicked in. My mind was creating ideas and patterns I never knew I could comprehend. I tried variations and combinations with a newfound level of creativity, yet never truly knowing what I was doing. After puttering for an afternoon, I heard an affirmative click, indicating some sort of success. Similar to before, the first one was the easiest to get, though each time it never stayed the same. It took a long time, but soon enough, I was cracking the second, then the third, then the 4th digit, then the 5th. Each click sounding crunchier than the last, giving a sense of progress. Along with that feeling of progress, another feeling swam in the back of my mind. I could feel the vibrations of the box and the humming within. Each time I got closer to the solution, I could swear I felt whatever was inside getting excited. That's the only way I can describe it. When concentrating on touch alone, I don't think its frequency had ever changed, but it felt like something I could sense, like it was passing that feeling onto me. The positive emotion having a sour taste when I pictured that its origin was not my own. It was either that, or I was simply projecting my own excitement at finally being able to see what's inside. The longer I worked at it, the more something in the back of my head screamed at me to stop. The previous experiences setting off many red flags that this was possibly dangerous. However, I feel I've gotten too far to not see a payoff. To me, whatever happens is worth it. Whatever happens. I'm on the 7th digit now. I've tried posting this on r/whatisthisthing and r/what'sinthisthing, but it was immediately nuked. I've sent a copy of this to some personal friends and the chat room I'm in. I'm also posting this on YouTube, as I feel it's one of the last places this will be accepted. I'm going to complete the 8th digit. After that, I'm going to post the results. If I do, then we can all marvel at what's inside. If this ends here, take it as a warning of the worst scenario possible.